Gen 4 cars at the Rock, some of your favorite NASCAR paint schemes about to go for 175 laps at this famous racetrack. This is going to be something to see. Pace car will peel off with last week's winner Toby Estes on the front row, defending champion Aiden Norman on the outside, ready to go racing from iRacing's Rockingham Speedway. Green flag is out. Aiden Norman gets around Toby Estes, and he immediately goes to the front at the Rock. Toby Estes sitting in second. Briley Wright coming off that second corner in the third spot. Looks like Nick Simpson gets out of sorts. Matthew Kent with a big blink up front in car 31. Already running into some trouble behind Rookie of the Year leader Brandon Fetterplay. Season 4 champions in the wall. Donald Ray, Season 4 Texas winner, has to get around him. And a little bit of restraint on the part of the Texan. A good look for him as well. Ray off two. Trying to chase down Thomas Andrews, who might have picked up a heavy knock in that car. Briley Wright in the 2-9 has Thomas Andrews just behind him. Familiar looking 29 for Briley, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he might have drove this last week, not too sure. Toby Estes still in second. Aiden Norman and Estes running away with this one. My man Landon's in the chat. Said, hope Norman took his laxatives 45 minutes ago. And if you missed last week's race, this is, and not a word of a lie, this is a true story. Last week, this guy here, Aiden Norman, Dobson, North Carolina's Aiden Norman, had to sit in the pits and abandon the race because, as he puts it, he was having a bowel movement. So Norman's bowel movement, he had to take a 2. Kept him on the toilet for what, 27, 28 laps, Landon, something like that. And this guy here, Toby Estes, from the great town of Greensburg, Kentucky, pulls ahead of Norman and goes on to dominate the race with a bigger lead than Aiden Norman ever had, and picked up his first victory of the season. I've never seen a Thursday Night Thunder race that was decided by another driver's plumbing. But there you go, a first time for everything, and just when we thought we wouldn't see anything new in Season 7, Aiden Norman once again proves us wrong. So the Bluegrass Bandits got the W last week. Here's another one of those Bluegrass Bandits in the number 3 AC Delco Chevrolet. The number 3 of Cody Riggs sits ahead of the GTA Vice City paint scheme of Tristan Catania. Check this out. Vice City livery on that 48. He's looking pretty good. Catania now running that high side, making the most of the top side of the racetrack. If you've just tuned in, you haven't missed a thing. Caution free so far. Season 1 and Season 3 champion Tom Sears on the outside of Ricardo Catania in the 2-4. Gotta love that Richie always brings the Jeff Gordon paint schemes to the racetrack. It's something that I always appreciate. Shout out my man Richie in the National Guard Chevrolet, trying to take on the 2-time champion. Let's go on board with Richie. Nick Simpson out of the inside of the Central Floridian. And Nicky now doing his thing, trying to get a place on Richie. Donald Ray just up ahead, the pride of Rockwall, Texas. Behind the now blinking Matt Kent and the pitcher from Taiwan, nowhere to be seen on the racetrack. So we'll go up to Brandon Fetterplace in that 5th spot. We're going to cover NFL scores here in just a moment. Stick with me. Just trying to do the due diligence on Twitter. You know how that goes. And if you don't know, Rick James TV does have a Twitter, so get out there, at Rick James TV. We got a TikTok and an Instagram too, but I regretfully have to say I definitely don't use Instagram, and I got to get more up to date on TikToks. You know them kids and how they do their socials. I'm being stupid. Thomas Andrews sits in fourth right now. Briley Wright's up ahead 1 second in that third spot. And these two are just going to put on another show like they did last week. There go Landon gifting subs to people. Appreciate you, Landon. Thank you so much. And Mac Attack 1104 is going to get a sub. All right. Appreciate that. So Aiden Norman leads this race. Toby Estes 0.6 of a second behind him. The battle for 7th is hot, though. How about Tom Sears on the outside of the Texan? Matt Kent still on the outside. Sears just trying every opportunity not to make contact with Kent. And Kent quick enough to stay ahead of Ray. But still dangerously blinking up ahead of the 5 car. Ray's got to make a move, though. We are only 15 laps into this race, though, so there really is no need to rush it. Tom Sears now trying to chase down this pair right here. Landon asking, what did that sub do? It doesn't necessarily, it is a subscription for the channel. Yeah, so it's just if you're already subscribed, you can gift a subscription to somebody else, and that somebody happens to be Mac Attack 1104. So if Mac Attack is watching, shout out Mac Attack, I guess. And shout out Landon as well. I appreciate you. Back to matters more at hand here. Let's actually check out this NFL game. What do we got? Panthers, Bears tonight? I know nothing about either team, so someone's going to have to tell me a thing or two about the Panthers and the Bears. But let's figure this out here. Figure out where they're playing as well. I'm a Lions fan, so I would say Bears suck, but I don't watch enough. I really don't watch enough football Sunday in and Sunday out to be that confident about it. But there's, what, 3/4 of a minute to go in the first quarter. And it looks like the Panthers are up 7-3 on Chicago. Go Carolina. Better place, breaking away from those two. Further on back, we got some little tussling here, some wrestling coming out of turn number 4. 4-6 of Nick Simpson on the outside of Cody Riggs. And there goes Landon subscribing. Appreciate you, Landon. Thank you so much. With the Darryl Waltrip sound effects in full effect. Landon says, watch your mouth about the Bears. Well, I guess we're going to fight for the next hour or so, whatever it's going to be, Landon. They're playing in Chicago, though. I will say this about the Bears. I have been to Soldier Field. It is a beautiful stadium. I actually went there to go see a soccer game. It was Liverpool versus Olympiacos. This was a long time ago in a galaxy far away, but I went to go check them out, and Soldier Field is a marvelous place. I actually sat right next to the tunnel. I don't know what side of the stadium. But anyway, if you get the chance to go to Soldier Field, check it out. Awesome place. Fantastic, fantastic stadium. But go Lions. How about that? Anyway, further on back, Tristan Catania and Terry Freer in the number 8-6 car. Nose to tail. Freer, who used to be in Thursday Night Thunder. And has Terry Freer ever made an iRacing appearance in TNT? We're going to have to ask the historians about this. But I think this is Terry Freer's first... what is this? Is this Terry Freer's first iRacing TNT start as Nick Simpson almost clouds him? Does he get into Tristan Catania? What just happened to the 46? Simpson all over the place, really losing control of that race car. He's in the wall with Jimmy Kerr just behind him. And Nicky Simpson has to be just a little bit more careful than he has been. Take another look at Simpson, kind of just losing all sorts of control here. Check this out. This is Freer on the inside of Riggs right here. Can we get a shot of Simpson almost losing the race car? There we go. There's Simpson losing the race car. There's Tristan Catania almost being taken out by Simpson. I think he just lost grip. We're going to see that a lot, though. I know we're only 24 laps into this race, but anybody who has seen a race here at Rockingham knows that this track is famous for eating up the tires. Drivers are going to have to really hold on to everything they've got and make sure that they don't destroy these tires. They do get 4 tire changes. That's all well and good, but if you're out there grinding the rubber to just powder, they're not going to last. They're just not going to last, and drivers have to be gentle on their equipment, as is every week, but more so the tires here. Meanwhile, Landon's in the chat talking about, is it the same parlay you did last week, Landon, where if both teams score in the first half, you get a whole bunch of money? I gotta try that. I gotta see how that works out in a game here, like a high-scoring game. See what the odds are for that. Looking at Thomas Andrews on the outside of Brandon Fetterplace. This is the battle for the 4th spot. Andrews sitting in 4th, Fetterplace in 5th. 3/4 of a second between them. Tom Sears on the outside of Donald Ray, and he wants to take the high road. Donald Ray's going to go up there and meet him as Tom Sears meets the wall and greets the fans just beyond it. Coming out of turn number 2, the number 14 Arcs Supra is going to give it a little bit of a tail whip out of the corner. Still chasing down the Texan. Let's go on board with Donald Ray. Toby Estes still in the 2nd position, but this time by a scarcely believable 4.3 seconds. Aiden Norman said, I am playing with you this week. He's coming out of turn number 4 in that Logitech Dodge, and he is moving. 4.5 seconds on Toby Estes. That is impressive. Putting one eye on the football game, it's 4th and 11, and it looks like Carolina's going to try and go for the field goal here. Is it Chad Pennington that was quarterback for the Panthers at one point? I thought he was pretty good for the Panthers. 13:36 to go in the 2nd quarter. Ball's going to be on the left hash mark. Snap, kick. It's up, almost getting tipped midair, but it's good. It's going to be 10-3 now for Carolina with 13 and change remaining in the 2nd quarter. And a beautiful shot of Wrigley Field there. You know, I'm not a big Cubs fan, but that seems like one of the stadiums that you have to go to, right? Like, if someone says, hey, you want to come watch a game at Wrigley Field, you're not going to say no. Terry Freer says to Cody Riggs, hey, if you want 8th position, you're not going to say no. So Cody Riggs trying to get to the inside of that 86 car. And, you know, Terry Freer did say something that he's running a different sponsor tonight. Let me see what he says here. Pacesetter Essential Services. It's a graphic design company. They do websites, business cards, T-shirts, flags, banners. So you can head on over to pacesetteressentials.com and mention that Rick James sent you. And see if they got anything special there for you. Let's take a look there. So that's Pacesetter Essential Services. Get on over to pacesetteressentials.com and mention that Rick James sent you. Tristan Catania just a little bit ahead of Matthew Kent. Richie Catania on the other side of that Matt Kent sandwich. And the 31 is right there and still blinking. Look at that. That's a lot of really hard blinks for the 3-1, but Kent's still holding it together. He's sitting in 11th right now, maintaining his line. Shout out to him. Briley Wright in the 2.9. He's 1/3 of tonight's Bluegrass Bandits. He sits ahead of Thomas Andrews in that number 2 Dodge. Andrews really sends, what in the hell is he thinking? He sends it in 2 tires on the inside of that yellow line, and he bounces off right up the racetrack and almost throws his night in the garbage. See if we can get another look. Thomas Andrews almost just bought the farm. A lap ago. Freer on the inside of Tom Sears. That's the 2-time TNT champion on the outside. And you've got to think what strategies are going on here for Tom Sears, as Freer's going to go up and greet the wall himself. Put the right side of that race car up on that safer barrier. Donald Ray is in the pits, 37 laps into this race. And the Drip Diecast and Collectibles track facts telling you drivers expected to go 45 to 55 laps. The tires really could be suffering even greater than that. So Ray says enough's enough. He's going to come on in. And the number 5 is going to get tires, fuel, and everything else he can. Toby Estes, on the other hand, in the 8 car, 6 seconds behind Aiden Norman at the front of this race. And it's almost unfair, isn't it? And I'm just clicking buttons for the hell of it now. I really have no idea what I'm doing. Aiden Norman, 6.2 seconds now. Toby Estes, is he saving the tires? Is he trying to go a long distance on these, what, they're not Goodyear tires. What are these, Admiral tires? Is that what it says on the side of this car? Norman just pulling away, as has been expected. Looking at those TNT points. Coming into this race, Aiden Norman with 7 wins, going for the single-season record at Rockingham, trying to get 8 wins with an average start of first. Not on the pole tonight, but an average start of first for Aiden Norman and an average finish of 5th. Shout out to rookie Brandon Fetterplace as well. Also, with an average finish of 5th place, right now 2nd in those point standings. And if you're wondering, I can't wait for those TNT playoffs. Keep waiting. They're not going to happen. TNT does not have playoffs. We run Gen 4 cars, Gen 4 rules. We love the nostalgia around here. And we love our nostalgic paint schemes, our nostalgic race cars and race tracks. And this one, a lot more than some others as well. The Rockingham Speedway. If you're watching this and you got a fun memory of this racetrack, put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. We're also talking Panthers-Bears. It's 10-3, and the Bears quarterback is rolling out to the right. And he's going to make a pass for what? Like, God, leave this man alone. Holy crap. But it's one of those plays where they're still pushing the guy back, and they're pushing the guy back, and he's not making any forward progress. And you know the refs are whistling like crazy, but still they're trying to throw this man to the ground. You love seeing that. Is that Jason Kelsey? All right, so it's Kirk Herbstreit, Jason Kelsey, and Al Michaels. Which, this might sound weird and off topic, but as Briley Wright's coming into pit road, don't overcook it, Briley. Here comes rookie Brandon Fetterplace, also hoping to not overcook it into the pits. He's on his way in. Aiden Norman, still your race leader, so now all eyes are on the race leader, Norman. And I'm not going to get away from this Al Michaels story, I promise. The ADHD ain't getting me this time. It was a TikTok that I came across. And Al Michaels saying that he's never eaten a vegetable in his life. First of all, that's just crazy. Maybe he means he's never eaten anything green, and maybe he's exaggerating. And hell, I'm probably paraphrasing and taking it out of context. He probably said I've just never eaten a vegetable in my adult life or something like that, which is possible. But come on, like not a potato, not a mushroom. How do you live to be this age without eating a single vegetable? Like the human body is amazing. And the Bears just ran for a first down on what looked like a reverse play out of the backfield. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for Chicago. Just over 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. They're down 7 points to the Carolina Panthers. You all remember Devin Hester? You want to talk about a great player for the Chicago Bears as Nick Simpson nearly throws the race away? You really saw him just hang the tail out of the corner there. Simpson really went for it. See if we can get one more shot. He's been sideways all afternoon. You can see he's got some sort of mark on the right side of his race car. He's got a dent on the right front. Watch him just completely go sideways out of turn number 4 and almost drive right through victory lane. Check this out. My God, those hands were busy in there. And just like that, Aiden Norman is in. All right, so new leader in car number 2. Thomas Andrews, he's going to put the TNT Drip Diecast Dodge out to the front of this race. Terry Freer's also in. Tom Sears, he's really been staying out late. Jimmy Kerr just kills the race car. What the hell, James Kerr III? He just went completely sideways. Watch this. Oh, he's already in the wall by this point. My God. He slammed that wall. Give me a shot where he's not. Talk about a distracting hit. Just mid. Oh, dude, he lost it out of turn number 4. Watch this. Good Lord, he slammed the crap out of that race car. Have a listen. He hit that thing so hard. So Jimmy's going to be in the pits, and he's going to be repairing that race car for a minute, unless he chooses to use his fast repair. Tom Sears is the race leader as he's trying not to overcook it coming into the pits. You see he almost lost control of that race car. Cody Riggs coming in with plumes of smoke coming off his race car. And Aiden Norman, who's on the same lap as the leaders, will come out back on the racetrack, but Toby Estes is only 0.7 of a second behind Aiden Norman. What happened where at the start of this green flag cycle, Norman had a 6+ second lead, and then Toby Estes and just comes out. Now Aiden Norman's already putting the foot down because the gap is a second long, but my guess is that Toby was saving the tires for the end of the stint. Toby Estes managing the tires. He was out longer than Aiden Norman, possibly by a couple of laps. Was he? Nope, I lied. And there goes Donald Ray, who's in the wall. Made contact with Norman. What happened there? As I'm telling lies about the pit stop cycle, that's so blatantly not true. Toby Estes tried to undercut Aiden Norman. Missed it by a second. So Norman barely getting away with that one, though, because Toby Estes did make up about 5 seconds, but he did come in 6 laps earlier. So this stint's going to be down to tire management. Now we have to take a look and see what just happened between Aiden Norman and Donald Ray. Norman is destroyed. Front end's already ruined at this point. Let's go back one. This is Norman ahead of Donald Ray. Did Ray just lose control of the race car? Keep your eye on Rockwall, Texas, Donald Ray. Norman just screaming around the outside. Norman just comes up out of the corner right behind Donald Ray, and almost the same thing that happened to Ray at Bristol. But the roles are reversed, where Simpson was the slower car in the front. One more look. Donald Ray just comes off the second corner, and he's moving so much slower than Aiden Norman. I just don't think there was anywhere for Norman to go, and it just puts him up into the air. But Aiden Norman now just 1.3 seconds ahead of Toby Estes, and this is just after the pits here. So Norman is going to have to carry on with an extremely damaged race car, but how is it going to hinder the performance of the 6.2? Take a close look at that right front. How messed up is that car? Oof. That's a big hit. 1.43 seconds the gap now between Aiden Norman and Toby Estes. There is Toby in the number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet. Riley Wright sitting in 3rd, so the great state of Kentucky sits 2 and 3. Tom Sears now trying to get to the inside of Riley Wright, but that's not for position. Sears is in the 8th position. 5 cars now remain on the lead lap. Brandon Fetterplace running in 5th. Nick Simpson running in the 11th spot. This isn't for position. Fetterplace to the inside of Simpson, who kindly removes himself out of the rookie's path. Thomas Andrews up ahead in 4th, but he's 9 seconds behind Riley Wright, who is 8 seconds behind Toby Estes, who's now about to be 2 seconds behind this man here, Aiden Norman. And Miss Moneypenny in the chat says, it's just a scratch. Tom Sears to the inside of Matt Kent. And Kent just blinking super hard. But Sears will, well, I was going to say Sears is going to clear him. But he shakes the tail coming out of the corner, and Sears now has to get some grip back on the bottom side of the racetrack. Kent continues to move up the track. Sears on the inside, trying to avoid Kent in the 3-1. Sears putting two tires on that yellow line. Finally does clear the American pitcher racing out of Taiwan. And Landon in the chat says, Norman, who's tore up, still pulled a half a second on Toby in 2 laps. Yeah, 2.3 seconds now the gap. And again, to all of Aiden Norman's credit, just a brilliant driver, and the fact is there. The numbers show it, and he puts in the work week after week. But there's Nick Simpson, who's on the inside of Aiden Norman. Nick Simpson almost becoming another casualty due to Norman's front end. But Norman is what is he doing? The Contender Series next year or something like that? I have no idea. But he's on his way to trying to become a professional iRacer. And he says he's going to be focusing on that next year, Thursday night. Much to the relief of many of these drivers. Toby Estes, 2.5 seconds behind him. He's got a 5.25 second gap on Riley Wright. Thomas Andrews 8 seconds beyond that. And after this pit stop cycle, drivers finally starting to spread out. Panthers and Bears still at it. The Panthers just had the ball back inside their own 10-yard line. And Landon asked earlier, do I ever race, or I'm just a hell of a commentator? Never race. I'm up here in the booth because I'm garbage on the track. That's 100% the truth. Matter of fact, I race so little that I have an iRacing iRating on road courses and nothing else, because the only thing I drive is the MX-5, because that's the only thing I can drive without crashing. Nick Simpson decides he's going to come into the pits again so soon, dear Nicholas. On lap 63, the 46 Costco Impala will come on down. Aiden Norman leading by 3 1/3 seconds over the competition. Panthers have the ball. It's 3rd and 10 on their own 9-yard line. 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. They're going to snap the ball. Quarterback's on 1 foot in the end zone, and he's going to be sacked on the 3-yard line. So it's going to be 4th and a lot for the Panthers, and they're going to have to punt out of their own end zone. So now they have to be careful not to get a safety. And Chicago, who's down 7 points, by the end of the next drive, they might just be level with Carolina. This game's actually going somewhere. And Matt Kent, with all his glorious blinking, has now unofficially reached a top speed of 252 miles an hour, according to the telemetry. So let's see if we can... There's Matt Kent. There goes Matt Kent. Not anymore. There goes Matt Kent. Let's go to Nick Simpson there. But Matt Kent, with his intermittent blinking. No, he's topped it now. Now he's hit 245 miles an hour, while Aiden Norman doing a comfortable 165. Toby Estes, 4 seconds beyond that. 66 laps underway, and it's going to be 110 to go next time by. If you've tuned in, we've gone caution-free this whole time. 1 green flag pit stop cycle. Newcomer Terry Freer running 6th ahead of 2-time champion Tom Sears. Freer doing a fantastic job in that 86 car. Five seconds behind rookie Brandon Fetterplace. Tristan Catania within 3 seconds to his older brother, Ricardo. Richie getting high, wide, and handsome coming out of turn number 4. Over the last 5 laps, this has been the gap between the Catania brothers. And you can see consistently Tristan has been catching up to his older brother, Richie. That GTA paint scheme is doing wonders for the New Jersey pilot. Let's go on board with Tristan. Ricardo Catania in that number 2-4 National Guard Chevy, really flying up the racetrack. Can't get a consistent line. And that's what's got Tristan trying to catch up to him. So maybe Catania the younger going to get a bit closer to Catania the senior. And it'll be New Jersey versus Florida for the 9th position. 3rd and 5 for Chicago. Clock ticks down just under 7 minutes. Bears looking to get a first down. They come into this game 2-7, and holy crap, the Carolina Panthers are 1-7. Oh my God! You know, I love my Dolphins. I love my Lions, and I like a scrappy team, right? But as a fan of the Dolphins and Lions, who were terrible for just decades, and for my entire life, actually, for my entire football watching life, I think the Dolphins and Lions have just been subpar. Now that they actually have winning records, I can look down on other NFL teams and say, wow, you guys suck. Go Lions, go Dolphins. Aiden Norman still leading this race, 6.7 seconds at the front. And an equidistant Briley Wright sitting in 3rd. The great state of Kentucky holding 2nd and 3rd right now. And Cody Riggs in the pits unofficially. And Nick Simpson being scored out of this race. So that's going to be the first casualty, the first DNF. 73 laps into this one. And Aiden Norman now lap 74 ticks up on the board. Landon saying, I hate the stages in real NASCAR, but I think we need them in iRacing. Well, have I got the solution for you? Sunday nights. Be sure to check out A Squared on ABN. Actually follows the Cup schedule, follows Cup rules, and they have stages there as well. Monday nights, the next Gen Cars on Rick James TV, actually. We do stages there as well. They do one stage break per race here. But with TNT, we like to play it like they did with the Gen 4 did in the 90s and the 2000s. No stages, green flag to checkered flag, and maybe the occasional yellow in between. But with 100 laps to go, these first 75 laps have been caution-free. And this driver right here with the destroyed right front corner after nailing Donald Ray in the rear. Aiden Norman has an 8-second lead on Toby Estes. One car up ahead, kicking up a ton of smoke. Who's this? Is it Richie Catania? Caution is out. There it is. Curse of the commentator. Caution comes out. Jimmy Kerr, the 3rd, involved in this one, and possibly Matt Kent in that 31. Caution is out for the first time tonight. Let's see what happened between Kerr and Kent. Oh, he's already wrecked at this point. Look at Thomas Andrews getting really squirrely, real out of the way here. Let's have a look here and see if we can find out just what happened with Kerr and Kent. There you can see Kent, the 31, up ahead, just blinking heavily. And looking at this now, I fear that's going to be the cause of this this next yellow. So let's have a look. Let's speed it up a bit. We don't got time for this. Jimmy Kerr coming off that second corner. Matt Kent's already lost it. Nowhere for Jimmy Kerr to go. And unfortunately, Matt Kent blinking as hard as he did, the one time that he did actually become solid matter was right when Jimmy Kerr came to make contact with him. So let's have a look. Caution number 1, Jimmy Kerr and Matt Kent. Invisible, invisible. Now he comes to life. Nowhere for Kerr to go. And that brings out caution number 1. So Toby Estes, Aiden Norman, and the rest of the crew are going to be taking their tires, their fuel, everything else they need to complete this race. So they're going to take their break. We're going to take ours, fans. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more TNT from The Rock. back at the Rock. Toby Estes will have control of the field when we go back to green. Thomas Andrews on the outside. Aiden Norman to the inside here. Norman looks like he got some of that damage taken care of, but he'll be restarting third for the first time in I don't know when. Tristan Catania on the outside in the Vice City Chevrolet with Ricardo Catania, his older brother, just behind him. Lap down cars to the inside. What? Okay, I guess. Do we do a choose cone in TNT? I have no clue, but we're racing again. Toby Estes to the front. And Estes to a 0.6 of a second lead. Half a second the gap now between Toby and Aiden. They run 1-2. Thomas Andrews falling a second off the pace of the top two. I want to make fun of him, but really you can't say anything because these guys are just out of this world. They're on another planet. Half a second the gap between them. 3 TNT championships now battling for the third spot. Thomas Andrews on the outside. Sears to the inside. Kentucky's Briley Wright rolling in fourth. Rookie Brandon Fetter place in fifth. 6 cars on the lead lap with newcomer this season, Terry Freer in the 86, now behind Matt Kent. And I was going to say Matt Kent's not blinking anymore, but there he goes, blinking ahead of Freer and behind Fetter place. Landon saying Norman drives into the corner a little bit harder. Let's go, Toby. So Estes, 0.4 of a second ahead of Aiden Norman. Thomas Andrews rolling in third. 2 seconds behind the top two. And Tom Sears all over the back end, although not for position. Sears right now hoping another caution comes out, and he gets that lucky dog, but he's in the wall. Briley right now to his inside. Here comes Tristan Catania for the 7th spot. There's Andrews, 0.9 of a second ahead of Briley Wright. Oh, and that is the wrong button. There's Briley. I got to stop screwing around with this. One of these days, we're going to see something we don't need to. Briley Wright sits in fourth behind third. Tristan Catania, 0.3 of a second behind Tom Sears, who's in the wall right ahead of the 48. And Catania almost makes contact with the two-time champion, but they avoid rubbing sheet metal there. Brandon Fetter place now sits just behind Tom Sears. Toby Estes still half a second ahead of Aiden Norman. But now the question has to be asked of Toby Estes. Is there an advantage to him staying in front? Is Aiden Norman just staying behind Estes, trying to save tires at this point? How about Tom Sears riding the high line? He's got damage on the right-hand side, and the rookie Fetter place wants to get beneath him. Matt Kent blinking wildly behind him, and here comes Ricardo Catania on the outside of the American pitcher. There goes Matt Kent, who's lost the race car again. Is anybody going to make contact with him? Nope, he comes down into the pits. Matt Kent does save the race car. He doesn't make any contact at all. But Kent does decide to bring it down into the pits. We'll see if he decides to continue fighting. Toby Estes, 0.4 ahead of Aiden Norman, now out of turn number 4 in the 6-2. Closes the gap. Matt Kent comes to a halt, and hopefully we do see him get some fresh tires and come back out, see him finish the challenge. Terry Freer sits behind Brandon Fetter place by 7 seconds. And there goes Tom Sears, who's off the wall. He won't come back onto the racetrack. Sears having a harder time than Matt Kent at this point. Man, almost losing the race car. You want to talk about a loose racetrack. Rockingham is a loose racetrack. And a two-time champion. Almost going for a spin there. How about, Tristan Catania, the younger of the two Catania brothers. He's losing control of the race car. Tom Sears now catching back up to him. 0.6 the gap. Toby Estes spreads out ahead of Aiden Norman. Estes running that middle line. Let's go on board with the 8. 92 laps underway. The defending champion, Aiden Norman, now driving behind this guy here, Toby Estes, in that 8 car, trying to take the lead off of him, and the native of Dobson, North Carolina, at his home track in Rockingham, and Toby Estes from a bit further away from Greensburg, Kentucky, sitting in that first spot. 8/10 the gap between them, but is Estes burning the tires too hard? Here comes Briley right to the inside of Thomas Andrews. They'll battle for third. Panthers and Bears still going at it. I think they just passed a 2-minute warning or something. I have no idea. I have no idea what the score is, but we'll find out here in a minute. Briley Wright, on the other hand, is trying to overtake Tom Andrews. Did I say Tom Sears? Thomas Andrews for third. Here comes Terry Freer behind Richie Catania. This is for 8th. Trying to do it the hard way on the outside of turn number 4, and he's going to pull it off. How about that for Terry Freer? Brave little move into the 8th position. Back to Thomas Andrews, who's on the outside of Briley Wright. One of 3 Bluegrass Bandits in tonight's race, and the New Jersey pilot's going to make contact with the turn 3 wall. Let's go on board with Thomas Andrews. They'll continue to turn laps. Thomas Andrews just a 1/4 of a second ahead of Briley Wright. These two are going to go hammer and tongs. Toby Estes still 0.8 of a second as 99 laps are ticked up onto the scoring pylon. It's going to be 1st and 10 for Chicago. Is it? I have no idea. Who has the ball? Nope, it's Carolina. Why do I bother watching this sport? I have no idea what the rules are. 1st and 10 for Carolina inside 2 minutes. They seem to be on their own 39-yard line. They're going to try and run it up the gut, and they're going to gain 2 yards as the clock ticks down within 2 minutes, but somebody might have fumbled the football. And it looks like Chicago still has it, so it's going to be 2nd down with a $1:40 ticking down on the clock. Bears down 4. They've got all 3 timeouts. It's going to be 2nd and 8 for Chicago. Toby Estes 0.8 of a second ahead of Aiden Norman. Briley Wright seems like he's going to try and take another bite out of the Thomas Andrews cherry, with Donald Ray closing the gap between them. And it's going to be 3rd down now for Carolina with a $1:22. Thomas Andrews lives to fight another lap. Drivers last pitting on lap 77. The Drip Diecast and Collectibles trackbacks telling you they'll make it approximately 45 to 55 laps, depending on how hard they choose to burn up those tires. We'll see how far they make it this time. 3rd and 1 for Carolina with a $1:22 to go on the clock. Going to try and pass it for the 1st down, and it's almost intercepted. My gosh, it's going to be 4th and 1 now for the Panthers. For the 1 and 7 Panthers coming to visit the 2 and 7 Bears. And we'll see if they decide to go for it or if they decide to punt it away. And it looks like the Panthers are going to give the ball back to the Bears with just over a minute remaining. And that could have been huge for Chicago. But the ball going right through the defensive player's hands. Aiden Norman running the high side now, trying to chase down Toby Estes. 103 now becomes 104 of 175. Last week's winner, Toby Estes. Only the 3rd winner in 11 races this season. Noah Belleville winning a few. Aiden Norman winning the other 7. Just fantastic stuff. And then Toby Estes becoming only the 3rd winner last season. If he wins tonight, every winner this season will have won 2 races in a row at some point in the season, and Aiden Norman doesn't seem like he wants to win this race because he is trying to wreck this race car as hard as he can. But he continues to fight on. Norman sitting in second. Toby Estes 8/10 ahead. Briley Wright still working on Thomas Andrews despite the fact between them being 8 seconds. And this driver, Donald Ray, now claims the space between the 2 and the 2.9. 70 laps to go. Landon says Aiden is eating the wall. Miss Moneypenny also in the chat, cheering on Aiden Norman, who's going for a record-breaking 8th victory. And Landon says Norman can't take being in second. I tell you what, it's not often that you see this guy finish in second place. It really isn't. We'll see what kind of stretch. Still plenty of race to go. We're inside the final 70 laps. There's still at least 2 more stops from here, and Aiden Norman's going to make the first of those 2 stops. He's in. Now it's Estes' job to go to work. He knows that he may not have a faster car than Aiden Norman, so does he follow suit on the basis that Norman has been comfortably riding around behind Estes? He's going to stay out. Toby Estes staying out, so Aiden Norman going to go a lap down while he gets his pit stop. And if a caution comes out now, Toby Estes is in beautiful shape. Still 1 more pit stop from here. There's still 65 laps to go in this race. Norman cannot make it that distance. Again, last pitting on lap 77, now coming in on lap, 107. So that's a distance of 30 laps. Was it really 30 laps? So maybe Estes just trying to go for a different strategy here. But now Estes. Is he trying to cut it down to 1 stop? That would be extremely difficult considering he's, 33 laps into this stint right here. But now we're going to have to see what the clock says. The times that Norman is putting in compared to Estes, I think Norman's going to be blistering once he actually puts time out on the racetrack. So we'll have to see. Toby Estes comes across. The clock says 25.5 seconds. Aiden Norman, he's about to complete his first hot lap, or his first race lap, after coming out of the pits. 24:12 for Aiden Norman. So he's 1.4 seconds quicker than Toby Estes already. A minute to go in this Bears-Panthers game. Bears snap the ball from their own 9-yard line, and it's going to be 2nd and a few yards for them. And there's going to be a flag on the play. So we'll see what direction the ball goes here. But Norman's back out on the racetrack, now looking to overtake Tom Sears for the position. Aiden Norman gets into 5th. He's the first car 1 lap down. So the first 4 cars are the only cars on the lead lap. Estes still puts circles on the racetrack. 25.57 for him. Aiden Norman will come off of turn number 4. He'll cross the line, and the clock says 24:05. 23:98 is his best lap. 24:05 is what he just put in. So he's more than a 1.5 seconds quicker than Toby Estes on these tires. So now what is the advantage for Estes to stay out on the racetrack? Is he just trying to have more fresh tires than Aiden Norman after this stint? 58 seconds counting down on this clock here. 2nd down for Chicago. And then some. I don't think they've crossed the 50 yet, so maybe they're just trying to get into field goal range in this last minute. 2 seconds, the gap between Toby Estes and this man here, Thomas Andrews. And Norman telling Estes to hit it, but Estes has to be careful on these worn tires. 60 laps to go. Toby Estes last pitted on lap 77, so he's quickly approaching 40 laps on this stint. Now, Estes knows that Norman has to pit 1 more time. Otherwise, he just won't be quick enough on the tires. But is Estes trying to go that distance? If Estes cuts this race down to one stop, he and Norman would be on the same strategy with one pit stop to go to complete this race. I don't know who the Bears quarterback is, but he just had a really impressive run for a first down right up the middle. So it's going to be 1st and 10 on the 49-yard line, I think. Or maybe the 45-yard line for Chicago. They're down 4 points with 50 seconds to go in the second quarter. Estes 1 second ahead of Thomas Andrews. Briley Wright rolling in third. 3 seconds behind the top two cars. Aiden Norman still a lap down. Brandon Fetterplace 8 seconds behind the leader. Look at Terry Freer getting into the wall. So there's Norman a lap down. There's Toby Estes. If Norman manages to unlap himself, the chase will then be on. But does Toby Estes have the fuel and the tires to last to Aiden Norman's next pit stop? And how's that going to play out? Because Estes has to be close enough to then overtake Norman if Norman decides to get around Estes. And look at this. Here comes Norman to unlap himself, and he makes extremely light work of Toby Estes, gets right in front of that 8 car and says, chase this. How about Thomas Andrews within 3/10 of the race leader on board with the 2 car? Thomas Andrews gets loose out of the 4th corner, and the Season 4 champion almost turns it around. Toby Estes continues to lead, but now Aiden Norman putting in stupid times. Last time around, 24:49. Toby Estes, 25:92. Again, 1.5 seconds the gap between them. 3rd and 6 now for Chicago. 20 seconds to go in the second quarter, and they're just past the 50-yard line, so I'm interested to see what they're trying to do here. Estes 2/10 ahead of Thomas Andrews. Aiden Norman 21 seconds behind Toby Estes, and at this pace, Aiden Norman will catch Toby Estes in approximately 15 laps. 3rd and 6 for the Bears. Quarterback drops deep back, huge. And it's going to be a first down with 12 seconds to go. They cross their own 50, and I think they're just outside of field goal range. The receiver runs out of bounds, so the clock's going to stop with 12 seconds to go. Oh, it looks like the Bears snapped it from the Panthers' 39-yard line, so they were already marching on the other side of the 50 there. So the quarterback dropped back like 10 yards from the snap itself. It was huge, but hey, whatever works. So 1st and 10 for Chicago. You're looking at the battle for the lead where Thomas Andrews is on the outside really trying Toby Estes. How long can the 8 car hold on? I don't know who this Bears quarterback is, but that's another great little run that he's made there up the middle of the field, and he downs the ball with 3 seconds to go. They take a timeout, so it looks like the Bears are going to get out to about the 20-yard line, and they're probably going to be able to kick a field goal to just come within 1 point of the Panthers going into the half here. But this guy can run. And I'll tell you what, the Panthers D tried stripping the ball off his hands here as Thomas Andrews tries to make it happen the hard way around Toby Estes, and he's going to make it happen the hard way around Toby Estes. New leader, car number 2. Bears field goal is good. It's a 39-yard attempt that takes us to the half, so it's going to be 10-9 Carolina ahead of Chicago going into halftime. How do you say that? Tyson? That's not. It looks like it's pronounced Bagnent, but it's not. It's got to be something like it. You almost want to call him Beignet, don't you? Oh, by the way, the leader is in while I'm sitting here playing stupid with NFL quarterbacks. The top two are in, as a matter of fact. Here comes Aiden Norman to take the race lead. So car 62 goes to the front, and Tom Sears is going to be in second. And Tom Sears is in, well, he's in fourth. There's Aiden Norman, who's in the lead. And I think he's now put the whole, or he's about to put the field a whole lap down if these two don't get out of pit road quick. So there's Aiden Norman going into turn number 1. It's going to be 46 laps to go next time by, and the whole field is a lap down. But Aiden Norman pitted on lap 107. For him to go to the end on fuel and tires, he'll have to go 62 laps on fuel and tires without stopping if he wants to win this race without coming down pit road again. Toby Estes is in second, 1 lap off the pace. There's Toby. He pitted on lap 126, so Toby Estes will have to go 50 laps to the end. Aiden Norman will need to go 62 laps to the end. Miss Moneypenny cheering on car 62. Landon saying Toby can go the distance, 45 laps to go at Rockingham. And if you remember, the season 6 winner here at the Rock, Toby Estes. Look at Donald Ray just on the outside, and Toby Estes almost loses the race car coming out of turn 2. He saves it. Glove save. Toby Estes, you gotta be kidding me. That was awesome. Can we go back? I don't have a direct link to that, but what a save. What a save from Toby Estes. Let's go on board with the 8. Watch the hands. Look how sideways he was coming off of turn number 2. What a save by Toby Estes. That is awesome. Toby Estes being scored as the race leader as Aiden Norman comes into the pits. He does short pit. Aiden Norman comes into the pits right there on lap 90. What happened to the 6-2? So Norman now on the front foot, and he comes out on the lead lap with tires that are 5 laps more fresh than Toby Estes. I'm really interested to know what strategy that is. So now there's 5 cars on the lead lap. Terry Freer, the last of those cars. And Aiden Norman with a pit stop time of 14:93. So not only did he fill up on gas, but he definitely got tires that last time around. So he's got the youngest tires on the track. He's got enough fuel to go the distance, and he just went purple. 23:97. Aiden Norman, fastest lap of the race. What a move by Aiden Norman. Pits on lap 107. Then he comes in on lap 131. It's a stint of 25 laps for Aiden Norman. What a... You know, you can't... Landon just said it in the chat. You can be a hater all you want, but this guy is a smart driver. He just put in the quickest lap, and he's proven himself to be quicker than Toby Estes. And it's almost like he's counting cards at this point. You know, it's almost... If there was a rule against it, you wouldn't be surprised. But how can you? What a move. What a move by Aiden Norman. And really, you just have to stand up and you have to give it to him. That's unbelievable. But now, game on. Rookie Brandon Fetterplace just ahead of the defending champion, on board with the 3-4. The great state of Kentucky holding first, second, and last. Cody Riggs has the honor of that third one there. Briley Wright and Toby Estes running second and first, respectively. 3.5 seconds the gap between them. Donald Ray comes in on lap 130, and the pride of Rockwall, Texas, puts in his quickest lap, 24.16 seconds. Believe it or not, Aiden Norman, the only driver tonight to put in a lap under 24 seconds, or 23.97. His best time tonight, and he's now within 11 seconds to Toby Estes. 36 laps to go at the Rockingham Speedway. Briley Wright in that second position. Aiden Norman within 7.5 seconds to Briley, and over the last 5 laps, Aiden 4/10 quicker, 4/10 quicker, 4/10, 6/10. This time around, the clock says Briley Wright 24.75. Aiden Norman puts in 24.33. 3/10 quicker than one of those Bluegrass Bandits in the 2.9 car sitting in second. He's going to have to play some hard D on the 6.2. Terry Freer put in his best lap, 24.37. And the Lapeer, Michigan driver, he puts in his best. He's up 4 places from where he started. Shout out Tristan Catania, by the way. I know we've been talking a lot about the paint scheme, but let's talk about the driver here. He's the hardest charger so far. He's up 8 places from where he started. Tristan comes into this race, I should say, buried beneath a ridiculous amount of points. Where is he in the standings? Nowhere close, right? Yeah, he's 15th. He's barely actually even on this graphic. But he's doing his thing. He's in the 15th spot. You got to give it to him. So shout out Tristan Catania for doing his thing. 15th in points, and he's running 6th in this race so far. Miss Moneypenny giving us some info on our 3rd place pilot, Aiden Norman, saying he comes from good stock. His second cousins are dirt drivers, and I guess some of the talent has to apply to iRacing, because that 6'2 driver sitting in 3rd, 5 seconds behind Briley Wright, who's 4 seconds behind Toby Estes. It's going to be 31 laps to go this time by Jimmy Kurt III, who slammed the wall hilariously on lap 45. Check this out. Super heavy hit. He put in his personal best recently, 24.46, so Kerr went green. Toby Estes still 4 seconds ahead of Briley Wright. Aiden Norman trying to work his way around Tristan Catania in car 62 in 3rd. 9 seconds the gap between himself and Toby. Toby last pitted on lap 126. If Toby Estes goes to the end, it's going to be a 50-lap stint. Aiden Norman just recently pitted on lap 131. Only a 24-lap stint for Norman, but he ensured he would have enough fuel to go to the end, and he ensures that he has the youngest tires on the track, except for Jimmy Kerr, who pitted on lap 134. Kerr just put in his personal best. Thomas Andrews getting around Ricardo Catania here on lap 140. That's going to put Andrews into 8th. Ritchie running the high side in turn number 3. Watches Norman sail away. 4 seconds the gap between 3rd and 2nd place. Next week, Thursday Night Thunder takes its last race, actually. I was going to say it takes a break, but no, the break comes after next week. Round 13 of the championship going to the Atlanta Motor Speedway next week right here, 8:40 p.m. on Rick James TV. Then the week after that is Thanksgiving, so you can be sure that we're not doing anything. We're not racing on Thanksgiving. Are you crazy? Go be with your families. As much as we would love to have your patronage and your viewership every Thursday, we got to take a break sometimes, right? So we won't be doing this the Thursday after next for Thanksgiving, but then we'll be back the Thursday after that to put these high horsepower monsters on the paperclip at Martinsville, so be sure to stay tuned in for that. Toby Estes still leading this race with that awesome number 8 Budweiser paint scheme. And fans, if you love some of the paint schemes you've seen tonight, like Toby's, like Briley's, maybe not Tristan's, but cars like Thomas Andrews, cars like Richie Catania as well, head on over to Drip Diecast and Collectibles. Get your piece of NASCAR memorabilia. Drip Diecast and Collectibles is your #1 Facebook store for all your favorite NASCAR diecasts, from race cars to haulers, whatever. Head on over to Drip Diecast and Collectibles. Get that gift that you want for that special someone, for yourself, for somebody you hate. Get them that race car driver that they never liked as some stupid joke gift. But go to Drip Diecast and Collectibles. Don't spend a mint when you don't have to. Get onto Facebook, Drip Diecast and Collectibles, and get your piece of NASCAR history now. Thomas Andrews in that #2. On an island. This man is 11 seconds behind Tristan Catania, 11 seconds in front of his older brother, Richie Catania. 3 seconds the gap from Aiden Norman to Briley Wright, although Briley sits in second. Here's the gap over the last 5 laps. Last time around, Briley is quicker than Toby, but Aiden is also 4/10 quicker than Briley. So if you're Aiden Norman sitting in third, there's 22 laps to go, and there's only 3 seconds between you and the guy behind you. Landon saying hopefully the 2-9 puts in a blocking move for his Bluegrass Bandit pal Estes. How about putting in a blocking move for staying in second place? Norman's coming like a freight train. Briley better start playing some defense for himself. Forget Toby. Toby's up 2.5 seconds from Briley, so 5 seconds is the gap here. 20 seconds. It's 20 laps to go. And this is going to be an interesting finish here because Aiden Norman can either go hard as he wants to, but he's going to burn the tires. However, Aiden's tires are only 5 laps older, or Toby's tires are only 5 laps older than Aiden Norman's tires. So if Norman is racing the dog food out of that car, to quote my friend Justin Shoup, if he's racing the dog food out of this car, trying to catch up to second and first, Norman may have burned the magic out of these tires already. Norman's tires may already be more worn than Toby. Estes could be on the front foot. 1-9 at the line, and it's going to be an awesome 18 next time around. Briley Wright in the second position. 1.5 seconds between him and Toby Estes. Prophecy Racing in the chat saying, everyone likes a good comeback story. Well, how about this? What if Briley Wright gets the win for the great state of Kentucky? When's the last time, if ever, that the Bluegrass Bandits won back-to-back races? I don't know that they have. This could be a grandstand finish, a historical finish. This is going to be one for the record books, I'm sure of it. Aiden Norman within 2 seconds to Briley Wright. I'm sorry, within 3. I can't count. 2.8 seconds now the gap. It's going to be a long 16-plus miles to the end of this race. Wright in second, Estes in first. Shout out to everybody out in Greensburg, Kentucky, cheering on 2 of their native sons, while the third one, Cody Riggs, is in the pits. And Cody Riggs got as far as lap 58, so you Cody Riggs fans can celebrate that, I guess. But Estes in first. I'm being mean. I love Cody. I love Greensburg, Kentucky. I've never been there, but I'd love to go. And if I ever do get the privilege of visiting, first place we're going is Smokey's Bar. Shout out to everybody at Smokey's Bar, and shout out to Thomas Andrews for tail whipping out of the way. Briley Wright now within 1 second to his neighbor. Both Toby and Briley from the little town of Greensburg, Kentucky. These two are going to do battle in these last 15 laps of racing. And Aiden Norman might not be done because he is 2.8 seconds behind them. But look at Richie Catania coming around the outside. Richie pitted on lap 51. He's much quicker than Aiden Norman. Did Norman burn the life out of those tires? 3 seconds between Norman and Wright. And for the first time since the pit stop, Aiden Norman is not quicker than Briley Wright. Lucky number 13 laps to go next time by, and the lead has come down to half a second between the Bluegrass Bandits. How about this? Aiden Norman dominating last week's race at Michigan. He had to pit for 28 laps because he was occupied in the bathroom. That's not a joke. As much crap as I make up, pun intended, that's not a joke. Aiden put it in the chat that he had a bowel movement that kept him in the pits for 28 laps. So Toby Estes comes around and he wins the race by an unbelievable amount of time. I think he put like a million cars a lap down and he won by too much time. So he became the third winner last week. He's going for 2 wins in a row, but how about Briley Wright, who pitted the lap after Toby? These two are going to fight it out for the next dozen laps, and Aiden Norman is 3 1/4 seconds behind them. So Norman is faltering. Here goes Wright for the lead, side by side down the back straight, and the Bluegrass Bandits will fight for first. Right to the inside. He's not giving up the left side line. Here comes Richie Catania sitting in 10th, trying to unlap himself, get one of his 5 laps back. Briley right to the inside. Toby Estes on the outside. They almost make contact. Oh, we don't want to see them wreck. We want to see them fight hard to the end. Richie Catania's got a front row seat to this fight for the lead. Into turn number 3, Toby Estes clears the 2.9 of Briley Wright. 1-0 to go, and next time, then it's 9 at the line. Toby Estes leads Briley Wright at the Rock. Aiden Norman, 2.6 seconds back. He's not out of this one yet, and of course, if the caution comes out, it's a different story entirely. Catania says, you guys need to stop screwing around and give me one of my laps back. He takes it from him. Toby Estes still leads. Here goes Briley right to the inside, and the driver of the 2.9 wants that first spot. Toby says you're going to have to work a little harder than that. Toby to the inside. Briley says, fine, I'll try the high side coming off of turn number 2. Wright will have the advantage. Here comes Catania in the 48. They almost go 3 wide into turn number 3, but they think otherwise. Tristan trying to get his lap back. Briley gets the run into turn 3. Here goes Toby up the inside, side by side down the front straight. Toby Estes ain't gonna give it away, says Landon, but he may not have to because Briley's going to take it. New leader, car 29, Briley Wright. And pulling away, half a second the gap. Tristan Catania in that 48 car. He is in the 9th spot. He wants one of his 4 laps back. Briley Wright in the 2.9. Not going to make it easy for him. They're not done yet. Toby Estes within 4/10. Aiden Norman within 2 seconds. 6 laps to go. Briley Wright leading Toby Estes by 3/10, who gives it a blink. For the internet to give out now for Toby would be so cruel. One eye on that NFL game before we finish up tonight's race. It looks like the Bears have the ball. It's going to be 3rd down for them. They're still down 1 point with 13 minutes to go in this 3rd quarter. And this boy who can run. See what he's got for them. 5, just over 5 miles to go here. Toby Estes within half a second to Briley Wright, but again, Toby, he put fresh tires on and he started running as fast as he could. Does he have anything left in those tires? Huge throw by the Bears out here, and it's going to be an incomplete pass, so it's going to be 4th and 8 for Chicago. Down 1 point to Carolina. They're going to have to punt the ball away with 12:38 to go in the 3rd. Last season's winner at Rockingham, Toby Estes. Briley Wright pitting 1 lap after him. Aiden Norman, who pitted on lap 131, trying to get the freshest tires, trying to get enough fuel to go the distance. Did he burn the magic out of those tires? It looks like he kicked too early, and that horse is too tired to run to the finish. Toby Estes, 3/4 of a second now behind Briley Wright, and we could have a new winner in TNT for the 2nd straight week after week number 2. This is going to be something else. This is going to be something else. Landon saying, Rick, I lost my parlay, FYI. I know you lost your parlay, man. First half ended 10-9. You weren't getting that money. Somebody was about to get that money, though. Briley Wright, 2 miles to go for the Bluegrass Bandit. I don't think Briley has won a TNT race since Season 5 Daytona. It was either Season 5 or Season 6, but the white flag came out, and Briley finished by himself because in turn number 1, second place on back, all crashed. Briley ran the last 3/4 of that lap uncontested, and he's going to run this last lap uncontested. 1 second, the gap from Briley Wright to Toby Estes, and the Blue Moon of Kentucky will continue to shine on those Bluegrass Bandits. It's going to be win after win for the Bandits. Last week, Toby Estes, and this week in the 29 Goodwrench Chevrolet, Briley Wright finds victory lane at the Rock. What a way to get it done again for the great state of Kentucky. The Bluegrass Bandits have done it again. Briley Wright victorious at Rockingham. Who saw that coming? Great run for Briley. Just a fantastic job. Certainly, we're going to have some awesome celebrations with Briley, with Toby, and Aiden Norman on the podium. Briley's going to burn the house down. And like you expect, he's going to park it in victory lane. Fans at home, don't go anywhere. We're going to have podium interviews in just a moment. On the podium with our top three, taking one look at that Carolina-Chicago game. It's going to be 3rd and 10 for the Panthers. They're going to be backed up to their own 2 or 3 yard line or something. God help them on this drive here. Let's start with our third place finisher, and this feels really weird saying our third place finisher is Aiden Norman. Aiden, awesome race. Definitely you were never out of contention to win, but that last stint you came so close.
Yeah, I had to take a risk after that caution came out because before the caution I had some contact with Donald Ray and that really crinkled up my right front and had some damage on that. And then when that caution came out, like an idiot, I tried to sit there and repair a minute and 20 worth of damage instead of just taking my fast repair. So I ended up coming out behind a bunch of people, and once I ended up back behind Toby, he was just able to drive away because we had finally equalized our strategies back on the same tire strategy instead of me having that little bit of offset. So with that damage, I couldn't really keep up with him, so I decided to try and come in early and take the extra stop to just pit, get the fast repair, get tires, and just send it as hard as I could. And that's what I did. I mean, I stuck to that strategy until the end. I hit the wall a couple of times, especially there towards the end, because my tires were absolutely roasted. And yeah, Toby and Briley both did a really good job of keeping that one extra stop away and just doing the one stop instead of the two like I was doing there. They did an excellent job at fuel saving and keeping pace, and they kept me at bay. So good job to them. Happy to see Bandit Racing on top. And yeah.
Still a great drive. We're going to see you next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congratulations on third. Tonight's silver medalist and leader of the most laps tonight. Last week's winner in the number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet, Toby Estes. Toby, that close. The gap was a $1:37 at the end of the race, but it feels like it was a lot closer than that between you and Briley.
Yeah, the first leg of the race, I was debating on whether I even wanted to finish the race. And then after the second pit stop, found some speed. Kind of like Aiden said, I went with the one stop there for the long run and had to save fuel and try and keep pace at the same time. I mean, I'm happy with the way everybody finished tonight as far as the top three. I mean, Briley, he's been at it for a long time trying to get a win. So I mean, hats off to him. And I would say I let him by there at the end, but he would say I didn't, because I definitely didn't. I was trying to race him and save fuel at the same time. But yeah, hats off to him. I mean, fuel, being able to save fuel and tires and have the pace to win the race. So kind of like Aiden said, it feels great to see the Bandits top three. I love it.
Second place, still not bad, and you get to carry that momentum on to next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see you there in a week's time.
Yep, thank you, Rick.
And now our race winner. And when you never think that you'd see another race winner again, thanks to Aiden Norman's dominance, you get proved wrong 2 weeks in a row. Briley Wright, how are you now?
Good news.
Not so bad, my friend. Not so bad. TNT winner in Season 7 at Rockingham. How about that?
Yeah, I know that one was hard fought. That's for sure. I think what won me the race was I figured out how to run the bottom, and I was backing my corners up a lot more than everybody else was, and that was saving me a whole lot of fuel. And I noticed at the end of the second to last run that I was catching Toby on tires, and I just knew that if I could just keep doing the same thing, keep hitting the bottom there towards the end of the race, that I'd just run them back down, and that's what happened. And just stayed patient, and everything worked out. It's kind of crazy because this season has not been that good.
Well, now we have to ask you, next week at Atlanta, is it going to be 2 wins in a row?
If it was old Atlanta, I'd say I'd have a really good shot, but with it being the new configurement, I don't think so at all. I think I got wrecked out in that race last year, and just going to hope that that doesn't happen this year.
We'll see what happens in a week's time. Congratulations on the win, Briley.
All right, thank you, Rick.
Fans at home, that does it for an awesome chapter of TNT Racing. What a race, huh? What a race. Briley Wright, top of the charts after 175 laps, and our 4th winner this season. Just when we thought we'd never see anybody on top. Again, Briley proves us wrong. Toby last week, so now you got to stick around because next week we could have a 5th winner. The Gen 4 cars are on the new Atlanta Speedway. That's going to be ridiculous. You have to stick around for that. And if you just can't wait, then come back here Monday night because ENEA, we're going to have the next Gen cars in the next race of the playoffs. They're going to be at the Indianapolis Oval, so come check that out Monday night right here, 8:30 p.m. And until that next race, everybody please stay safe. Do take care of each other, and we